You're leaving.
Yes.
I know we just talked about it.
Yeah, the house is just too heavy. And the best way to explain it is just that there's a constant weight of emotion on me. That's the best way that I can explain it. I just feel sad here all the time. The energy of it all. I mean, it's just the energy of all of it. I mean, it's the conglomerate of energy, right? All the new stuff that we get and all the stuff that we've had for a long time. Like, it's just heavy. It's just all really heavy to look at, heavy to be around, heavy to be in the presence of, you know? It's just heavy. I do have a couple clients that refuse to get tattooed here. And they've never even stepped foot on grass here. It's just the little bit, I guess, that's even been like talked about, because they don't even know everything that has happened here between you living here and your mom living here and the non-living here. I mean, things that happened here when you didn't even live here for years, you know. They don't even know that stuff. They just hear the ghost stories and they don't want to come.
The room more to me was way darker, aesthetically.
Oh, for sure.
But this is why I didn't tell people the room was haunted like it was so publicly.
Right.
For that reason.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there were even people that didn't want to come to the room work at one point, right? Especially after like the museum. I think sometimes you just know. I think that's just the energy in everybody. Like, you just feel like something's off. And with some people are like, no thanks. It's too off for me. But like, truthfully, I am not scared of this place necessarily. It's more just the overwhelming sadness of energy that comes from it for me. Like, it shows itself in more of like a depressing way. Very heavy. Ooh, don't feel good. I feel very nauseous. Like, I'm like nauseous.
Were you okay?
Yeah, but like I'm like nauseated. Like, bad. I've had quite a few experiences here. I've definitely heard footsteps up and down the stairs, specifically up and down. One of the experiences that I had was when I was coming up the stairs to get paper towels. I was like looking down because I'm clumsy. As I was coming up, I like lifted my head up and I saw a black figure, a shadow, but not a shadow. You couldn't see through it. It wasn't transparent in any kind of way. It was just a black figure there. I kind of jumped back, like, gotta fight it, you know, and it was just gone, like a light switch, just off, you know. I've had experiences with the voices. I've heard a woman specifically say hello twice and multiple times in that sitting. And I think that you got it on camera one of the times that I had heard it.
Yes, you're very welcome, of course. Yes, you're very welcome, of course.
Nice in picture. Do you like it?
I had an experience with the necklace amulet downstairs in the glass case, or it was at least in the glass case at the time. I was tattooing a really good client of mine, and I had stepped into that front room and left him in the booth to get a piece of candy, actually from him. He had given me the candy. It was inside of my bag. And when I say inside of my bag, like specifically, like there were things like holding it in the bag, like the zipper. Like it was only enough to like open the bag and like reach in there and grab it. It's not like when I went down to get the candy, I had the whole bag out and then I put it back in my bag. So as I went down to pick up a piece of candy, I came back up, and as I looked over, and this is all in a matter of like split seconds, you know, the amulet part of the necklace, the heaviest part of the necklace, was coming at me, and so forcefully that it pulled the bust down with it. So it wasn't just like my footsteps knocked the bust over and the necklace just fell. It was so much more than that, like in those few moments with it, right? And then as it fell, like it came out, fell, it was just kind of dangling off the glass shelf there, you know? And I audibly screamed, like I screamed about it. And my client had come out of the room and asked if everything. I was like, hey, I'm like, no, it's not okay. This necklace just like flew at me. I'm telling you, it just flew at me. And he was like kind of perplexed, but kind of like, did it, you know? Because I would question it too. Like, oh, come on, the necklace flew at you, you know? As I started to walk away towards my client, the bag of candy that was inside of my bag flew out, and more jumped out than flew out. I don't think flew is the right verb for that. I think it was more of like a jump, like it physically like jumped out of my bag, you know? And he had saw it and he was like, what was that? In the midst of that though, there was like a growl. Was it a growl? It was just very, it was so muffled and so like hard to explain, because it wasn't like a growl like a dog or something like that. It was more like from the back of a throat. You know what I mean? Like that, like, I can't explain it. I would call it a growl, but it wasn't like an animal of some kind or something like that. It was weirder than that. I've had experiences. One of the first ones was with you when the Ouija board that had been up there for 10 years or something had just fallen off the wall randomly. And that was before we opened. I think that was like the day before we opened, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
we were on the other side of the wall, and all of a sudden it just... Yeah, it was up there for 10...
Yeah, and it had never moved, right?
Not once.
And it's still there right now, or you ended
the
up...
way that
leaving
it fell is how it is currently right
Right.
now. Yep.
Right, I remember you saying you were going to leave it like that. I just didn't know if you did.
Yep.
Not only have I had experiences, I've also noticed that my daughter possibly had an experience here. We were all downstairs. This was also before we had opened, you know, you, me, Anna, and my daughter was downstairs. She was kind of in between like the front two rooms. And I was kind of by the stairs from what I remember. And I think me and Anna were on that side, and I think you and my daughter were on the other side. And I think she had looked over and said hello, wait, with a wave or something along those lines. And we just were all kind of like, what? That's a little weird. And I think you had asked her, like, what is it? Like, who's there? And she's like, well, that man over there. And we were just like, oh. And when she pointed, you know, she pointed at the split doors in between the booths, you know, which is just kind of alarming. And then I just didn't want to bring her in here anymore.
And I was like, what man? She goes, the old man right there. And she just kept pointing at him as if he was still standing there.
Yeah. No, yeah. It was.
We were like, no kids allowed in here.
I think we immediately left. Not only have I like seen things, but I've smelled things before. And specifically only in the booth. Like somewhere in between like rotten meat and like eggs, sulfury kind of smell, but never one over the other. It's like they both meet in the middle and create this just very unique smell. But it's not a smell that like lingers for even minutes. It's like a smell that lingers for like seconds, and then it's just kind of gone. I had an instance with a client I was tattooing her. We were probably like 30 minutes, 45 minutes away from being done. And I mean, we had been sitting there for, a solid hour at least, like not really moving. I mean, I don't move a lot when I tattoo, especially in one small area, right? It wasn't a huge tattoo. And we had heard like a bang, a knock. I think it was more of a knock than a bang. And as we both like she had looked up, and as she looked up, I looked up because I wasn't sure what she was looking at. And the crucifix, what is that?
It's a cross.
The cross.
There's no Jesus on it.
Okay. The cross above the piece of furniture in the booth. It was just like steady, just rocket. It wasn't just like a little tiny like like from whatever. It was like someone physically walked through that room and like was just like jump, 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 jump. You know what I mean? Like it was very much moving. And I was like, maybe I should move because I didn't want that to fall over on me. Obviously, like death by impalement of cross doesn't sound like a pleasant time.
But it would be metal. It would be metal, dude.
So at one point I even contemplated moving because it never stopped. Like, all the way up until I left, it never stopped. I don't know. It's just too much. It's just a lot. All of this stuff is really real, and it's all really like packed full of history. It's a real place. Like, it's not just like a hoax to get people in here and like have a whatever experience. It's really not that. Like, it's absolutely real. And I feel like I'm a pretty strong person as far as like life goes. But I don't think I'm strong enough to like be in here day in and day out surrounded by a constant sadness. Like, I definitely feel like it's like pushing me out, but more in the way of like, you don't belong here. Like, you just need to move along. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't belong here. And like, I agree. I obviously hope to come back and like do guest spots and stuff here. And obviously if I was like super afraid to be here or anything like that, then I wouldn't. But like, I just don't think I'm meant to be here full time. I plan to go open my own little private studio in Greenwood. The space is not available for a couple months. So for the time being, I'm going to go back to postmortem to finish out my current scheduled appointments for Franklin. Just as there's nothing else for me here. Like, I love tattooing and I love my job, and I don't want this to bleed into that because it's starting to. Like, it's starting to make me like not even want to come to work. And like, I don't really fully enjoy my job right now. And I kind of want to, I think my clients deserve that, and I give everything my 100%, but at some point I'm not going to be able to here. So I just want to leave before that starts really melding into things.
So do you feel like this place is haunted?
100%. Like, I don't think just this place is haunted. I think this place is haunted. I think the items in here are haunted. I think there's a whole other level of haunted. And I think haunted kind of cheapens it because it's more than that. Like, it's more than just like a haunting. It's like a whole ecosystem of life in here. Beyond life. It's really hard to explain. It's like parallel reality feeling. Like, it almost feels like a whole other existence happens in this house on another side. That's the best way I can explain that. I don't know how else to explain that. Like, yes, 100% I think it's haunted.